Altheris, many people are now awakening to the fact that those in control have undue influence over much of our lives. And they're beginning to question or sometimes seek a different life choice, life experience. And you can see this in the uprising of people across the world who are unhappy with the ways that they are currently governed. What can individual people do to lessen the grip of the powerful on their lives?
Well, what is important is that each individual takes responsibility for themselves and the life that they live, the choices that they make, and who they give their energy to. If you understand yourself as a complete human being, that you have a certain amount of energy, and that you can decide what it is that you do with it, whether you give it to somebody that is influential over you, or whether you keep it for yourself, whether you understand that you can use it for yourself to create the life that you desire, not that which somebody else desires. Then again, through consciousness, it's important for you to design the life that you desire. Start off as an individual, create a life, or understand what it is that you want, and then go out and get it. If you become and see people that are pulling you away from what it is that you desire, then you have to decide. You will have choice points all along your path in terms of that which is your life. People saying you should not do this, or you should not do that. You should not buy that car, or you should have that car. It is for you, in terms of the truth of your own fundamental freedom of what it is that you want as your life, that takes you out of the power and control influence of those that are trying to say this is the best way to do something. You should do it like this. What also is important, of course, is that as an individual, then you only have that amount of power, of influence and control that is within you. And in order for you to impact those that are affecting millions of people, you need to come together with other people that are of the same view, that want to create the same life that you are. Not exactly the same life, because they cannot have exactly the same life, because they are not you. But if you are of a particular frequency range, that you attract people into that frequency range because they have the same desires. When you come together with them, call yourself a community or an organization or whatever it is, then you become opposed. It becomes your ethos not to live a particular way, but to live another way. Of course, you then have to be careful that you do not then become the power and control influence, because when you get two power and control influences coming together, that is when you have friction.
So we're talking about, again, peer pressure. We're talking about education, becoming consciously aware of perhaps certain aspects of life where there are injustices, where there perhaps is a physical response in the body to the way that we're supposed to be living our lives that doesn't actually feel coherent, perhaps. It
doesn't feel coherent. And if you, instead of being caught up in the melee of what life is giving you, or what you are attracting to you every now and again, step out of it. Just like a relationship. It is the relationship that you have with life. You can step out of life, the busyness of life, and really truly check, what is it that you have created, and is it what you continue to want? Within the nature of that, of course, is that you can identify those within your life that are exerting a greater influence on the way that you live your life.
Well, it almost seems to be every which way that people turn right now, that whether it's the governments or the food industries or the things that we were talking about before, all seem to be unduly exerting power over humanity.
Well, you have been, and you are growing within the nature of that as a society framework or structure. And it is that which not you, but it is that which humanity or a particular group of people have become addicted to, it being their way of life. They cannot see anything beyond that. They cannot see what the alternatives are. It may be that the alternatives are within them in terms of how they live their life, whether they live in a city versus that which is in a village, or in a community somewhere. That is their choice. But as long as they can see what the choices are that are available to them, the alternatives to the structure or the framework that they are, we would use the word loosely, but caught in, like a fish in a net, struggling to get out of it. If you understand and look at the physical body and talk to the physical body will tell you whether it is happy in those circumstances. So what do you do when you realize that you are unhappy in those circumstances? You either put other things in place or begin to change the nature of the energy that you are, which takes you out of a particular job in a particular city, moves you to the country or moves you abroad. But you put things in place. But unless you go through that process of understanding and talking to the physical body and knowing whether it is happy or unhappy, then you will not be able to afford, you will not be able to see those alternatives, because they do not present themselves, because they are not being called for.
Maybe this will answer one of the ways we could move forward, because I'm interested in how we would avoid corruption within the human race, within the different cultures and societies, when we are a higher dimensional society, when we have reached a higher frequency. How does that society operate?
Well, that society operates on the basis of heart rather than mind. At the heart, in terms of the energy that comes from the heart, is trust, is faith, is love. Whereas at the mind level is ego, is survival, is corruption. There is corruption there in terms of how you use that word within your language, that people are seeking to better themselves, to put themselves in a better position, and it does not, we would say, matter which way you look at corruption. It is all connected with the nature of the ego, the person that is seeking the best way to survive from birth to death. It can all, anything in the world can all come down to that particular aspect, if it is from the ego perspective.
In some ways this feels as though we have a huge journey ahead of us. What would be the steps that you would encourage us to start looking at?
Well, it is understanding yourself first. We always say this. Understand yourself first. Love yourself first. Nothing wrong with loving yourself first. If you do not understand what love is in terms of loving yourself, how can you hope to show people what love is? So once you have put that in place as the foundation of loving yourself, honouring yourself, understanding what it is that you desire, reform the relationship that you have with your physical body. The physical body is that which transports you around, which is the mechanism by which you can tell whether you are safe, whether you are in love, whether you are in fear, whether you are unsafe. Those two primary emotions that the physical body talks to you in. At any moment in time, you can reconnect to the physical body and know whether you are in love or in fear. Now, fear arises out of the nature of something that somebody is perhaps trying to put upon you. If you love what is occurring to you, of course, continue, because it is making you happy. You are happy in the nature of it. But as long as you are conscious that that is what you are willing or bringing into your life. Once you have formed that relationship with your physical body, then design your life. Then start to attract from an energetic perspective how that life can be made up of. And if you can then, through a conscious way of looking at companies, at looking at people, looking at products that are out there in the world, understanding and fully researching the nature of how they are made, then you are doing the best for you. Then what you can do is you can give the benefit of your direct experience in life to other people. Of course, as we have said, they have to have that direct experience themselves, but what you are pointing to is something that is a better way of being in the world, a better way of being in relationship with the self, but also everything that is out there in the world as well.
So really it comes down to those simple words that Gandhi taught us. Firstly, be the change. And then through that you then inspire
You do.
those that you come into contact with each and every day.
of course, as you do that, as you start to understand what it is that you desire and then start to attract it, like a light, we often say, you begin to shine more brightly. People do see that you are shining, that you are happy, that you are smiling, that you are energetic, that you are in the fullness of life. And if they are not in the fullness of life, if they see something that is in you that they wish to emulate, they will come to you and will say, what is it that you are doing that is allowing you to love life rather than themselves, which they may think that they are in fear of life. But it is allowing your light to shine all the more brightly for the relationship that you have with yourself, and then the relationships that you are then able to have with other people. As you draw them in, they see what has happened within the nature of your life, and then they go off and the light is spread, the love is spread.
And do you see that as being some kind of exponential shift?
Well, that is what will, we would say, cause the evolution of humanity to increase. The more you look at the relationship that you have with yourself and understand what it is that you want, the brighter you will shine, the more people will be attracted to you, and then they will begin to shine as well. It is like if you light your candle, people will come to you to light their candle, and they will take the light away with them.
I can see how that can work. That feels really inspiring. Thank you.
You're welcome.